And we are back again with another vintage toy restoration. Today's project is this wonderfully glorious 1966 Color Magic Barbie made by Mattel. And boy, is she a treat to work on. Now she is in pretty decent shape. I'm gonna have to restyle her hair a little bit and then give her a good wipe down again. This one was a score, if you've seen in my previous video, found at a thrift store for a very small fraction of what they actually go for. So if you're interested in learning how I refurbish her, feel free to keep watching. So first off, we're going to take a small container and some Gain fabric softener. Brand really doesn't matter in this case. And just go ahead, pour some in, and letting that mix in with some water. Of course, I had to bring out the cute ceramics for this portion. So I'll just go ahead, give that a good little mix. And then next part, we are actually going to be removing her original barrette. Now, if you are in the vintage Barbie sphere, these barrettes can actually go for a pretty penny on their own. Again, they're super tiny and they were very easy to get lost over the years or vacuumed up, what have you. So the fact that she still has hers is pretty phenomenal, might I add. Now we will make sure we set this aside in a safe place and we are ready to get her hair going. This doll has a great full head of hair, so we're just going to go ahead, dunk her in slowly but surely. Now, you have the option of either removing her head or just kind of leaving it on as such. And as you can see, I'm just dunking her in, letting her sit for at least 30 minutes in that solution. Now I've gone ahead and rinsed it out, and I'm just going to go ahead and start very gently brushing through. These dolls are notorious for having super brittle hair, especially after multiple times of the magic solution, which was really kind of a baking soda vinegar mix, but working from the bottom up into the root. Now you might see me actually picking through the hair a little bit just before I start combing it out. Would be a good decision not to just yank a brush through this hair. Um, these dolls, again, are unfortunately notorious for having really bad hairlines slash missing patches in their hair. So the fact that this doll looks like she's honestly never been used in the terms of the color magic effect is really quite a sweet treat. Next off, going in with Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, I am just going to go ahead and start wiping down her limbs. Now you might ask why I haven't taken off her bathing suit, and there is one specific reason why I haven't, is the original ribbon on it is kind of tied in a knot, where if I actually did fully remove it, I would have to cut it, and I am trying to preserve as much original value as I can with this doll. Granted, I'm keeping her in my own collection, but I rather just work my way around it as opposed to snipping the ribbon, and believe me, I tried to untie it. But you can already see her hair looks much better. So now we are going to go ahead and start touching up her makeup. I'm starting off with a matte clear varnish as a base before any paint actually gets applied to the doll itself. Really just applying a generous layer on the doll's eyelashes slash eyelids. Um, and of course, we're going to go ahead and touch up on her lips, so we'll create a barrier there. Now, these vintage dolls can be really prone to fading over time. Of course, the eyelashes are kind of 3D raised, so those are pretty common to have a little bit of scuffing on them. But as you can see, she still has her full lipstick intact. It's just faded throughout time. So next off, I'm going to go ahead. I don't think I showed you what paint I used, but just with a kind of slightly watered down acrylic, working in very, very thin layers and just building that up. And as you can see, you have to hold her at a few different angles to make sure you're getting everything. And the brush I'm using, I will be changing out in a little bit for more of a fine tipped brush. So next off, I'm going to start by retouching her lips, and trying to do it behind a camera is quite difficult. So I ended up pulling out a magnifying glass, which I have, and kind of working in the very detailed corners as such, which you'll see here in just a few seconds. And as you can see, her lips are definitely nice and crisp, just making sure I follow the original pattern of her lipstick. I will say having the doll's lips be faded is kind of a blessing and a curse. Blessing is that I can actually truly follow the original lip shape. And oh my gosh, she's coming together so well. And using the same paint, I'm actually going to be touching up her fingernail polish and toenails just so it looks pristine and new. Now, I will say this magnifying glass has come in handy so many times. And of course, using that varnish again and just topping off the lips, the eyelashes, and then the finger and toenails. Again, this doll was such a pleasure to work on. I had one in my collection I kind of swapped out for this one, being the one that I rerouted a few years ago, but I am so over the moon to have her in her original swimsuit. I will say her little head wrap is reproduction, but everything else is truly original, besides the little bit of a touch up on the paint. But definitely let me know, what do you think of this doll? Have you ever seen her before? Is she one that you've been looking for? Or do you have one or two in your own collection? Always love to learn. And again, thanks so much for watching. I am Cole at Kitschy Flower, again with another vintage doll restoration. And I would definitely love to hear from you in the comments what you might like to see me fix up next. I have a few other vintage dolls slash Barbies coming up, and a few plush, but always would love to hear suggestions. Bye for now.